Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so I want to make a quick note here. Some people say they don't like the music or they don't want the music. It's very, very far and few between, so someone just mentioned that. One thing that I normally do with the music, I start out kind of like medium volume, and then after about 2 or 3 minutes, I drop it down quite a bit. Okay, so there really is one common theme that really runs through pretty much every one of my videos. And to explain that, I can verbally explain it, but it's really understood once you learn how to do it. So someone asked me a long time ago, I think this was about 4 years ago, or I don't know if they asked me, but we were having a discussion. I don't remember how I said it, but I remember I looked at the person and I said, I open people up. And they kind of grinned, and because this was a very, very closed person, and there was a purpose and a reason I was saying this to this person. So essentially, I don't know if it was at that moment or a couple days later that I walked away. And I want to say it walked away knowingly. This is what I do. I've been doing this for over 30 years. And they had a kind of a cocky smirk and just kind of grin like, oh, okay, and I just gave them this knowing look, just kind of a dead-eyed stare. And lo and behold, did the tornado happen or the hurricane come through the next few months into the next couple years. So let's stick with the theme of opening up. So, okay, one of the things I want to say is I don't teach anything until I have successfully done it and successfully understood it. And what I mean by that, I didn't really use the right words, but what I mean by that is physically understood it from experience, from doing it myself and being like, oh, I see how that works. So when I talk about stuff and say, here's how you do this, or this is what this is, it's not because, oh, this is what I was taught, this is what I learned in a book or a course or a seminar. It's because I went and applied it until I physically had the experience of doing it correctly and getting the results and being like, oh, I understand how this works now. Now, one of those things is bowing. I grew up studying martial arts since I was a little kid, 4 years old, maybe even a little bit younger than that. And you have to bow to your opponent and all that stuff. And you learn in prayer, you kind of bow your head, and like you hear about how they used to, or some Christians today will kneel and bow their head to the ground, or Muslims or whoever. And even in Buddhism, bowing is a really big part of being Buddhist. So I've been around this my entire life. Since I was a little kid, I was told to do it. You're told in church to bow to God, essentially, etc., etc. And, I get it, or at least I thought I did until I got it. So somewhere in my 20s, I was going through a pretty rough time, and I went to pray, and I remember I got on my knees and I bowed and I put my head all the way to the carpet, all the way to the ground. And for the first time in my life, I finally understood why you bow. Before I get to that, I will say that most people think it's because you're being submissive, you're submitting, you're bowing down, you're letting them rule over you. No, that's all ego. And sincerely, that has nothing to do with why you bow. Now, some people think it's to show respect. No, it's not. That if you think that's what it's about, in all sincerity, no, that's really not what bowing is about. And not only that, but you're completely missing the boat. So that one day, Well, it wasn't the only day, but it was the day that I got it. I was really, I don't even remember what would happen, but I was really desperate. I was in a desperate state of place in life, and I just bowed and I prayed. And I remember I put my head to the ground. I just sat there for a moment, and here's what happened. I opened up. I became much more conscious. I became much more aware, meaning I got a subtle message. It was very subtle, and if I hadn't have bowed like that from my heart and opened up, I wouldn't have noticed it. What it does is it takes you out of your ego. The ego is the closed door. It's like the left brain. It's the closed system. It's the linear, logical. It's in the box. It's closed. So when you open up, now you're tuned in to the subtlest of, like, an image kind of drops in, or a thought or a subtle idea that if you were thinking in your ego, you would have blurred it out. You wouldn't have noticed it. It quiets your mind so you can be aware of these subtle messages. So it's very similar. It might actually be the very same thing. It's the difference between AM and FM radio. Have you ever noticed on AM radio, it's a lot of talk shows and news, and they talk and talk and talk, very monotone, very logical left brain. That's a very AM radio station. And the AM side seems to have kind of a funny sound. It's just very linear. It's scientific almost. It's like, I don't know, analytical almost. Whereas the FM, that's where you have all the radio stations where they play all the music. So the FM would be more like the right brain. It's about, more sounds and more flavor, more like even the radio announcers' voices. They really emphasize their voices versus this logical, monotone FM kind of way. So let's say there's a radio station on the AM side. Well, in order to listen to that radio station, you're going to have to click your radio over to the AM and then go up and down the dial to find it in order to tune into it, literally. But God is on the FM side, okay? So if you want to hear messages from God, you're going to have to open up to the FM side, and you're going to have to tune in, literally. So you have to open up to the other system in order to tune into God, to receive God's messages. Now, you get a lot of people like Ricky Gervais who says, "Oh, I don't believe in God," and that's absolutely fine. And I also agree with him. He goes, "I just don't believe in pushing your beliefs onto other people," and I actually agree with that also. What I don't agree with is he's coming from a very logical place. He's a very logical left brain dude. He really is. And he sits there and says, "Well, I don't believe in God," and here's the one thing he doesn't say. He doesn't say, "I'm not aware of God, therefore I don't believe in him," because he doesn't know what awareness is. Logical people are not aware. Awareness is a right brain function. It's not even a part of the left brain system. So I find that people that say they don't believe in God are very, very left brain, or when you talk about God, they go into the left brain. It's like you just walked into the wrong room. You can't find God there because that's not where God is. It's like the radio station. If you want to tune into an FM radio station, you have to go to the FM side of the radio stations. It's like these logical people are looking under a microscope saying, "I can't see God here." It's like, well, you're using the wrong apparatus. You're using the wrong device. Because that's very specific and detailed. And these are also the same people that say, "What bigger picture? What are you talking about? I don't see any bigger picture." Because they're looking under the microscope. They're looking at microscopic pieces. They only see one piece at a time, and the smallest piece of it, it doesn't look like an elephant to me. Like, well, pull back, buddy. Pull your eyes off the microscope. Step back about 10 steps and go, "Oh, it's an elephant. Oh, I see it now." Well, yeah, you got to step back and open up to see the bigger picture. And then you'll see God. In all sincerity, It really is just as simple as a puzzle. It's like if you're focused in on one single piece of the puzzle, you're gonna be like, I don't see the red Jeep. What are you talking about? It's just just a red color, piece of a puzzle. Well, yeah, you got to connect the pieces together to build up to the bigger picture so you can see the picture of the red Jeep. Now, these people that are very left brain, and it really is the male population, not all men. There's quite a few men that are centers, left of center, center right, and they can see at least a medium big piece of the picture. And those men tend to be very spiritual. Those tend to be the physical men. Think of it like a muscle. Like they've been doing curls for years. They do their bicep muscle, 2-3 days a week, and they really built it up, and they've been doing it for years and years. And they're really good at it. They're really good at getting warmed up for it, but they've never done their tricep muscle, so their tricep muscle is weak, and then they're not really good at doing it. They don't know how to do it. It's the same thing with learning how to open up to your right brain and learning how to access it. So people that are very left brain, they don't even, honestly, I'm be real, people that are very left brain, they're not even aware what the right brain is. I know, because I started, luckily, I just started meditating out of desperation when I was a very young guy. And when I popped open, I was like, what the hell is this? Well, that was my right brain. So most men between the ages of about 16, 17 years old up until at least 34 and older, actually 37, 39, they're just stuck in the left brain because our testosterone peaks between 28 and 32, maybe 33, 34 for some guys. But when you hit your teenage years, man, that testosterone's starting to skyrocket. So you're all left brain, and that's what testosterone does. When you have a high level of it, it shoves you into your left brain. So all the spiritual stuff is hooey-fooey. All this right brain language is hooey-fooey because men are like, what are you talking about? They think you're speaking gibberish. These people are in very two-dimensional world, and if it's not in the physical two-dimensional world where they can touch it, feel it, take a picture of it, and experience it from the left brain, then it's not real. Just like when I was in high school, I was listening to this group of girls talking and just seemed like they were speaking gibberish because I was processing it from my left brain while they were using their right brain to process and communicate from using the right brain language. Well, of course it sounded like gibberish to me. It's like speaking English, going to Mexico, and they're speaking Spanish. And I remember when I was a little kid, we had a maid. My mom and dad owned a fine dining Mexican restaurant in California. And we had a lot of migrant workers and people coming over the border, etc. And a lot of them worked at the restaurant. And they also, we usually had one that would work and help out the family. My mom and dad had 7 kids, and we had a dog. So I don't know if maid's the right word. Someone to clean the house and cook and stuff like that. Well, I remember the first time I heard this lady speak, I looked at it and it scared me. I was like, wait, what is, like, honestly, as a kid, it sounded like gibberish. I didn't understand that there was different languages. I just thought there was one language. And to me, I'm like, well, why doesn't she just speak normal? And, I was a little kid, probably 3 years old at the time, and they tried to explain it to me. And as I got older, obviously, I figured it out. If you go back more than a couple hundred years, men were forced to use their right brain to survive, to hunt. Hunting, now a lot of men that hunt, when they come back from the hunt, they're very into their physical senses. They're into the flesh, the see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. They're very much connected. And for the first day or 2 or 3 days, they're very much there. So you'll notice the wives kind of get this warm, fuzzy, cuddly feeling when they're around their husbands when they come home from hunting. I mean, what do I tell you guys? What do other people tell, like, hey, you need to get out of your head, go to the beach, go into Mother Nature, just do a hike and then just sit there, in the sun, in the trees for an hour, 2, 3 hours, ground yourself, root yourself. Well, what you're doing is, because you're away from books, thinking, words, logic, it opens you up to your right brain because nature brings you into the 5 senses. So number one, what I'm really trying to say here is for people that are not open, they don't know how to open. It will take a lot of practice, and they will have to learn and use techniques and physically do things like go to the beach or spend time out in Mother Nature, and it will take them a while. They will have to want to do this. The challenge with very left brain people is they're like, want to do what? What are you talking about? Most of them have been so disconnected from themselves and their five senses and earth. They're just looking at you like, oh, so we're playing these airy-fairy make-believe games. Oh, okay, I'll play along. So all I'm saying is don't judge them. Just realize, like, they very left-brain people, it's like, well, that's all they know. They don't know anything else. They've lived that way probably since they were a child. Now here's the cool thing. When men want to meet women, they want to learn how to approach women, talk to women, attract women, all that good stuff, they'll learn anything. Thus, crack the female code. When men come in the door, they want to get married, they want sex. So I'm going to be honest with you, sex and love are two very, very powerful drivers. The funny thing is, the course was designed for married men, but married men like, well, I'm already married. Like, why do I need to learn anything? And I can hear all the women on my channel going, oh God, or laughing their ass off. And then a few years later, he'll come back after she's divorced him, left him, took the kids, the house, the dog, and the cars. And he's like, okay, I've got something to learn here. Left brain people, by the way, they have to learn the hard way. They don't have a choice because they're oblivious, completely, totally, utterly oblivious. You can warn them, you can talk to them till you're blue in the face, and they have to have their heart and their soul ripped out. Same thing with narcissist abuse. You were warned to some degree. The church really was supposed to break it down, but for some reason the churches don't. One of my biggest complaints about the church is even in the year 2024, when all of this information about narcissist abuse is exploding all over the internet, books are coming out, doctors are starting to talk about, psychologists starting to study it. It's a direct correlation to the serpent in the garden, to the seed of Cain, to there's a couple other characters like this is all over the Bible. Like, this was what it was warning us about, and yet we never really got warned. We kind of were told some ancient stories that we thought were back then, but we really weren't warned in a way that we could wake up. But once you got your heart and your soul utterly destroyed a million times, you started opening your eyes, looking around, and you started questioning things. You started Googling things. You started looking on YouTube. And like with me, I got hurt really bad, and it was something in the right side, the right column of my YouTube channel. Something said something about narcissist abuse, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to check that out. Like, what is that? And lo and behold, I found the answers. But it took a lot of pain to finally truly want to learn. And also to practice and to try new things and to do new things. For example, when I was young, and I think I was actually in middle school, maybe even younger. I don't remember exactly when I first did this. I was pretty young. I might have been in high school. But I remember the Bible talking about pray as if you were in a closet. And one day, again, it was a day when I was really upset and something was going on in my life. I don't remember what it was, a long time ago. And I literally, cleared the closet, the floor, the shoes, and I literally went in the closet and closed the door, and I just started to pray. And I had an aha moment. What it is because you're praying because you genuinely want to pray, not because, the pastor says you should pray twice a day or 3 times a day, or, you should kneel and bow to the sun or bow to the east or whatever 6 times a day or whatever. I did it because I really wanted the connection with God. Not because, I want a connection with God because I'm so egotistical. No, because I was desperate. I was in a space of I needed help and I didn't know what to do, et cetera, et cetera. And when I did this, the answer came. And I was like, oh. See, when you pray to impress other people or pray in front of people, look at me, I'm praying, it's not because, you're being a jackass, which you are, But it's because you can't connect with God that way. That's literally external, which puts you in your left brain. Hey, look at me. I'm a narcissist. I'm egotistical. I want you to see me praying. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, it ruins the whole purpose. I mean, I don't knock on my neighbor's door and say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to go down the street and I'm going to talk to this other neighbor. I just thought you should know that. They'd probably look at you like you're stupid. That's the same thing when you pray in front of other people. It's just like, why are you doing that? It's supposed to be between you and God. It's like, if I'm going to go talk to my neighbor, I'm going to go talk to my neighbor because I want to talk to my neighbor, not because I want my other neighbor to know that I'm talking to my other neighbor. Like that's just a weird thought. So all of this, pray as if you're in a closet. To bow, to truly bow. Now, if you're bowing in front of other people, oh, look at me, I'm bowing in front of you. It's like, man, are you missing the damn freaking point? When you bow to a teacher, whether it's a martial arts teacher, a monk, or whatever, it's not because you're kissing their ass. It's not because you're following the rules. That's all left brain stuff, by the way, and that will put you in the wrong side. That will put you on the AM side. You want to be on the FM side. So when you do these things, it's not because you're supposed to, it's not because you got to follow the rules, and it's not because you're submitting to a monk or submitting to a being, not even submitting to God. It's because you're surrendering your ego to yourself. It's so you can open up and receive the teachings from the martial artist, from the teacher, from the monk, from God. You're surrendering your ego so it gets out of the way, so you can open the door, so you can learn. That's all it's about. It is, okay, let's take me. If you come to learn from me, then I would hope that you would be open to receive what I'm teaching you. That's it. I don't need you to bow down to me. I don't need you to submit to me. I'm just going, hey, I like to teach what I teach. And my goal is to get results so you can learn what it is you need to learn. That's it. If you do that, I'm going to feel really, really good about what I've done. And you get to walk away with better learnings, better techniques and newer techniques, and a better skill set. And that's it. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. And if you like, you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.